Welcome to the Divine Gossip Podcast. I am your host, Mackenzie Foster. I'm a psychic medium, witch, tarot reader, spiritual mentor, paranormal investigator, and honestly, I'm just a really curious woman who loves diving deep into how this universe works. I started this podcast to share with you what I'm learning about intuition, the unseen world, healing, magic, and most importantly, becoming the most authentic and honest version of myself. Not the perfect one, but the real one. And if you're down for that too, grab your journal, keep an open-minded heart, and let's get into today's video. All right. Hello, and welcome back to the Divine Gossip Podcast. And welcome to episode 2 of Mystical Moments with Mackenzie, or Megan and Mackenzie. It sounds better with your name first. Welcome. I'm Mackenzie, one of your hosts.
And I'm Megan, your co-host.
Hello. How are you today, Meg?
Good, good. It's so funny. You were like, let's hit record. And I was like, wait. I wanted to tell you something. And I was like, I can just tell her on the air. Last night I was just looking for something to watch on TV and we just got Disney Plus again. So I'm like diving into all of that. And I love watching documentaries, like the National Geographic documentaries on like natural disasters and like um stories of like I don't know, just crazy things happening that people survived, right? And so this one was called Lost in the Jungle, and it was a story. This is what the synopsis was. A story of a 13-year-old girl and her three younger siblings that were lost in the jungle of Colombia. For 40 days they survived before they were rescued.
Okay. Whoa, I've never heard of that.
Yeah, and it was really what happened was that they were flying in an airplane and the airplane crashed and the only adults, it was like a small airplane. The only adults in the airplane was her mom and the pilot. So they both died in the crash, but all the children survived, including like the youngest was an infant, like not even a year old. Yes, so she like somehow was able to feed the baby just water and the baby survived off just water for 40 days and they like mashed up some fruit and stuff like that. But anyway, so it just sounds like a story of like that survival, right? And so I start watching it, and then all of a sudden they start talking about the spirits of the forest and how they bring in a shaman to help them find these kids because they know the kids like are there because they keep finding their stuff in different locations, but they know that they're moving, so they keep missing them. And they call in the shaman, and they're just talking about these different plant medicines, right? And then the very last thing they do before they give up, because they had been searching for such a long time, and at this point they're thinking maybe they've died. Um, the last resort was they did ayahuasca the very last night and the in the ayahuasca session, the shaman got a visual of where the children were and had a conversation with the forest spirit who was like, "Yes, I'm protecting them because they were." And then the documentary talks about their life before the crash. They were like in a very abusive home. Their mother was taking them to go live with someone who was very abusive. And so it was basically like the forest was like, no, they're better off here. And the shaman promised that spirit that if they released the children, that he would make sure that they went somewhere where they were safe and that they wouldn't go back to that home. And they found the children, of course, the very next day, based on the shaman's direction. And it was just like, I told Shane, I was like, what are the odds that I pick a show, just a random show, right?
On Disney
Like
Plus.
on Disney Plus, it's a National Geographic documentary about children getting lost in the jungle. I had no idea this was going to be a spiritual, like, documentary. And
Oh
so I'm
my,
just like, holy crap. I mean, I've considered sitting with ayahuasca, but is that my sign? Like, I don't freaking know.
oh my God. That is so fucking cool that they made a documentary about that. like as they fucking should, because that shit is so real. Like I know people that have done ayahuasca and they came back and they were like a changed human being. Like your brain is literally rewired to understand energy and like what this life is. Oh my God, that is so fucking cool. And I'm so glad they survived all of that. What, how old were the other two kids? Do you remember?
Like they didn't, I don't know if they really specified. I believe they were under 10 years old, like fairly young. Like
Wow.
one of them kept throwing temper tantrums and was acting out. He was like 4 or 5.
He's like,
Um,
I want to go home. I'm
yeah,
bored and
that was what
hungry.
it was about. He was like, "Why are we here?" He would just get really mad and throw a temper tantrum of like,
Aw.
yeah, I'm hungry, like all of that. And so it was really, I was like, oh my gosh, it tugged on my heartstrings, of course, especially the baby crying. Like the oldest sister is the one who tells the story on the documentary, and she was like, so many times I thought about just leaving them because they were such a burden. Like,
Oh my God, that's
yes, I have chills when I
horrible.
say that. I was just like,
I know, me too. That's
this.
so bad.
Yes, yes, because she was like suffering badly too, but that just makes it so much harder when you're the one responsible for, you know,
Yeah.
that.
What a strong girl.
Yeah, yeah. And also what was really cool was that at first it was like the indigenous culture and the military were searching, their search efforts were separate. And then eventually they were able to come together to do the search. And when the indigenous people told them about the spirits, all the military people were like, yeah, yeah, yeah. But then they had some real experiences in the forest where they got lost several times. The compass would just keep spinning. They had to do a ritual. It was really cool. Yes, it was
Oh
so
my
cool.
God.
Yeah.
What's the name of it? Do you remember?
Lost in the Jungle, I believe.
Okay, I love that name. Makes sense.
Yes, yes, very simple. Um, Not like a
I
huge
love
story, I
it.
don't think, but it was good. So anyways,
I love
yeah,
that.
first 5 minutes of our
Thank you for
episode.
sharing. I love that. I love that they came out alive and they showcase shamanism like that for one, and then also plant medicine like that. That is just so fucking epic. I
Which
love
is
that.
probably why we don't even know about the documentary, right? Because it got so focused
Yeah.
into those kind of topics. That's probably the
Yeah.
exact reason why we've never heard this story before.
I have good news about shows as well that's happening this week.
Okay, what's that?
My favorite show, Outer Banks, season 5 finale, comes out Thursday.
Nice. I know, I've never watched it. I've
I
heard
know it's
I've heard a
so
lot of people love
good.
it though.
Oh my God. I truly think you would not like it. It doesn't make it's just not your thing at all. Like it's not there's nothing really spiritual about it. It's more like history and like treasure hunting and kids and like teenager stuff. It's so you're like not I don't think you're into that stuff, but I literally am binge my mom took off work to watch it with me on Thursday because she loves me so much. Isn't that so nice?
Wow. Wow, that is
I know.
dedication
Isn't that
there.
insane? I know.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, we have a problem. That's really not good. But we're doing it. So I'm excited. I'm gonna watch that and report back on the pod of how good I thought it was and all my thoughts. And they came out, the whole cast of the Outer Banks, there's like 5 of them or so. They're doing a 6 episode podcast series about the entire show on Netflix. It's released the same day. So I get to have watch a podcast about it too. Isn't that cool?
It
Yeah.
is cool. And
Yeah.
I guess since we're talking about pop culture now, just curious, did you start watching Ultimate Girls Trip? It's the
Oh no,
20th
but I've been seeing
anniversary.
clips. I've been seeing clips. I really want to watch it. I need to do that because I've been wanting to.
Yeah, you've only missed, oh, I guess episode 2 would be out now. So, because it
Okay,
comes out
cool.
on Sunday nights. So I'll have
Ooh.
to watch that today too.
Okay, fun. I like this. I like a little pop culture moment.
Yes, yes. And for those that don't know, I was just going to say it. The Ultimate Girls Trip is the Real Housewives, all the different franchises. They pick like one woman from each franchise, and they're going on a trip to all the different cities where all the Housewives shows are aired across the country. And this is the 20th anniversary since the Real Housewives has been filmed, so it's a big year and some of my favorites are on there, so
Oh my God, the drama. I'm so excited.
yes, yes, it's definitely
All
there.
right. I think that we don't, after a little life update from us, we normally go into the astrology of the week, but this time the whole topic today, we're going to be talking about astrology and doing a little astrology 101 deep dive and we're gonna see what happens and what we have to share.
Yeah, absolutely. So are you we going into that now?
Yeah, I think we can go into it now, unless there is something astrologically that you want to share that's happening this week. But I don't think it's anything. Or, yeah, the next eclipse is next week. So,
Yeah, so when this episode airs, we will be in the middle of the Pisces lunar eclipse on August 28th.
yeah.
I can't remember what day of the week that is. That might be the
I'll
day that
look.
the episode releases.
I know. Let me see. 20. Oh no, 28th is a Friday.
Okay.
So,
So
the 26th, this episode is released. But so we'll be in that energy for sure.
yeah, yeah. So we're wrapping up an eclipse cycle, and I think I talked about this last episode
Yeah.
when I talked about the eclipse that we had last week. We always have two eclipses, a solar and a lunar for every eclipse season. So yes, on the 28th, we'll be wrapping up an eclipse cycle that's been happening since September of 2024 in the Pisces part of our chart. So I'll tell you what I mean by that in just a moment. But that's the main thing that's going to be happening the week that this episode releases.
Yes, and August 22nd, we officially go into Virgo season, which is going to be interesting too. We go into Virgo season, so happy birthday to all the Virgos. Your birthdays are coming up, but we love Virgo season. It kind of locks us into focus and responsibility and organization, I feel like. And it's just a grounded season. It's more grounded.
Yeah, like we were just talking about, we're doing a 30-day challenge that we just do amongst ourselves. And during eclipse season, that probably wasn't the best idea, but I think we should try again during Virgo season because it's a little bit more predictable and should be a better energy for really trying to master whatever we're working on in 30 days.
Yeah, I feel like Virgo is very habitual and locking in a habit and is very like focused and detailed and consistent that way. Um so yeah, if you need an idea, you want to do this with your besties, me and our best friend Luna and Megan, obviously us three, we do this 30-day challenge where we just track these habits in a shared note on our phone. And yeah, we try to do it this eclipse season and Leo season, and we all kind of were off and on it. And yeah, so Virgo season is definitely the thing for that. And then we have like I have a astrology transit like note on my phone that I have AI make for me. Yes, I use AI. This is the first time I'm admitting it publicly. Sorry. But yeah, there's transits happening, obviously, like always, but it's nothing other than that we need to have talk about big transit wise. Yeah, it's a partial lunar eclipse in Pisces. That's interesting. I didn't know it was partial. That's fun. And then is it true with eclipses? Like, because every time I tell my mom it's eclipse season, she's like, "Ooh, are we gonna see it?" But it only happens in certain parts of the world, right? Like,
Right, right. So this one that we had in Leo was more over Europe. Um,
okay.
and then partial, the reason it's partial eclipse is because the nodes have already switched to the Leo Aquarius axis. However, eclipse is still happening in Pisces, so that's why they call it a partial. It's not fully,
Oh,
yes, because the
okay.
nodes are
Okay.
not fully there anymore.
There we go. Okay, cool. Yeah, so that's that. And then if you want to take off Astrology 101, I think we're ready to get started on that topic.
Sure. So I think the best way to do it, I know a lot of people love CoStar and that app. My gripe with CoStar is that you don't have the circle chart wheel
Yeah,
on
you do.
CoStar. Oh, you do?
They
Uh,
actually, to be fair, they updated it recently.
Okay,
Um,
good.
if you go into your chart, you swipe, and it's just this. It's not super, like there's no house numbers. It's just the signs in each thing. You can't
Okay.
really see it, but it's not
Yeah.
super great, but they do have a little bit of a circle now.
So for learning astrology and someone who's brand new at astrology, if you want to actually understand astrology, I don't recommend the CoStar app. If you just want like if you just want your daily horoscope, I know a lot of people love CoStar for that. Um,
Yeah.
But if you actually want to learn, then I recommend the Chani app is what I use. Or if you preferred like a web browser link, astro.com is what I use. And I love it because I can save all of the profiles of people's charts that I do, especially like my friends and family, and like reference back. Like if something's going on with that person, I can go look at their chart and kind of understand. Like if I'm having a conflict with them or just anything I want to know about them,
Yeah.
I can look there for
That's
some
my
guidance.
Yeah, that's my favorite thing you do is every time I'm like, I don't know what this moon is for me. I don't know what this transit means for me. You're like, let me pull it up, and you have it in like 5 seconds.
Yeah, yeah. That or
It's
like I
awesome.
told you when I was looking for your birthday gift, I like looked at your Venus placement to be like, you know, I feel like astrology can be used for so many practical reasons like that too, and not just like what's going on in the world, but better like how do I understand my friends and family so that I can be like a better person in relationship to them, you know?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, or yeah, ultimately that's the goal with that for sure. I love Channy as well. I use CoStar Channy. And have you ever downloaded or used the Pattern app? That's a popular one too.
No. The only other one I've ever used is time passages.
Okay, so that's kind of similar to the Pattern app. If Patterns is like um shows you patterns over time. That's more accurate than CoStar, and it's more like learning. You can go deeper and like read about what your chart is in the Pattern app too. So that's another suggestion I have.
Okay, yeah, I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, you should.
And another one I really want to explore, I just haven't had the time yet. I really love listening to Cam White on YouTube, and he just came out with his own app. It's called StarTech, I believe, and he just came out with it on Android as well before he just had it on Apple. So that's probably a good one too to look at if you're wanting to learn astrology. But I'll go ahead
Cool.
and share my screen. That way we can look at a circle chart because I think that is, even though it can be overwhelming, even though it can be overwhelming for people, I think it is still very helpful for understanding what all this means. And we just had a day retreat this last Saturday where I did a little astrology lesson. So I've got like some things in my mind of like how I want to go about explaining this. Because I've never actually done an astrology course or class or anything like that. I've thought about it and maybe one day I will, but I haven't really formulated my thoughts yet on how to teach astrology. So this is kind of just going with the flow in channel of what you're going to receive today.
I love
Um,
it. That's the vibe of divine gossip. So it's perfect.
yes. Yes, so this is my personal chart. You see it here. If you want to know anything about me, you can come here and look at it again. But I didn't feel right like using anybody else's, and I just hid my birth information so that it's just you're just seeing my chart and who I am. Um, So, I think the main thing that I want to start with is that, You see these little pie slices here? These are
Oh, wait,
all,
wait. Let
hmm,
me say super quick, if you're listening on audio, Megan is sharing her screen for to see her birth chart. So this is your sign to subscribe to our YouTube channels to watch the video version of the podcast. Okay, continue. Just wanted to make clear.
yeah, yeah. That and actually, let me back up a little bit too. Talk about whole sign versus placidus. Um, So those are just different housing systems. And what I mean by housing systems is what I started to say about these different pie slices of the chart. These each rule a different area of your life. So 12 different areas of your life. And you can, Placidus is more like truly where these points were at in the sky. And whole sign just gets an average of it does an average so that each of the houses are the same size. If I was showing you my Placidus chart, all of these little pie slices wouldn't be the exact same size, and my ascendant would be right here on this line. This line, all the way across the top line of your first house, all the way to the bottom line of your seventh house, is the horizon. And we can think of ourselves as this little X that's in the middle here. And everything that is above that first house line and above the bottom seventh house line, all this up here, that was the sky. That was the sky above the moment that I was born. And same for you in your chart. When your ascendant is right here on this line, this is the sky above you, and this is the sky that was below the earth, was not visible at the time of my birth. And so these are more personal houses. This is the more subconscious type houses that are underneath the surface here. And then the seventh through the 12th house is more external, involving other people type houses. The 12th house is technically the subconscious too, but depending on where your ascendant is at in your chart, sometimes some of your first house planets will fall into your 12th house using Placidus. Like, for example, my ascendant is at 29 degrees. So normally all of Capricorn is in my 12th house, Placidus. But since we're just looking at whole sign, which I do recommend whole sign as the easiest housing system to use when you're learning astrology, this is what it looks like for right now. All of it's falling in my first house. So, any questions on that, Mackenzie? Anything I might have missed there?
No, I don't think so. Why do you say, well, I guess, yes, I do have a question. Like, I don't think so. Also, I have a question. Um, why do you say that whole sign is better or easier than Placidus? It's just like, I guess, less points to look at or something.
Because what whole sign does is it makes it so that each zodiac sign is contained within one house versus Placidus. Like, let me just show you real quick what Placidus looks like. That way you'll know what I mean a little bit.
Okay.
So here's what I was saying about
Hmm.
like my planets normally fall in my 12th house versus my first house. See how my first house goes all the way Aquarius into Pisces, which means I have
Hmm.
an intercepted house, is what that means. I was just learning about these recently. So Aquarius is intercepted because it doesn't rule any house in my chart. Technically, my ascendant being in Capricorn is the ruler of my first house. And I also have Pisces in there too, but Aquarius doesn't rule any house, Placidus. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. It's definitely cleaner to look at whole sign, less confusing.
Correct. And then same with like you have to have whatever's on one side of your chart, it's going to be mirrored on the other side. So like you can see Leo is also intercepted in my chart. which just
Yeah.
means that those energies are harder for me to really like put my finger on because they don't rule a certain area of my life as an intercepted house. And not everybody has intercepted houses on Placidus, but I think that just for simplicity, it's easier to read whole sign from the beginning because like another example looking at the chart, like my second house whole sign is ruled by Aquarius, but here it's ruled by Pisces because the first line of my second house is in Pisces.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so
Or
or the left line of the left
okay.
side of that house, whatever sign it's in, that's the ruler of that house.
Okay. The left line.
Yes.
Okay. All right,
Yes.
cool. That makes sense.
Yep. So let's go back to whole sign because it's definitely a lot simpler. Even though I read Placidus when I do readings, typically, I've like only once have I been like, I don't know why I feel called to do whole sign today, but for the most part, I read everything in Placidus just because it's more exact. But for learning purposes, having an average, which is what this is just helpful for simplicity reasons.
Okay.
So, like I said, each area of these pie slices rules a different area of your life. So, for example, the first house is about the self and your body and your identity. Second house is money and your resources. Third house is communication, your siblings, your neighbors, and local community, and so on and so forth. Um, what's interesting is that the zodiac signs that you see here, they reflect the sky. So they're always in the same exact order, just depending on where your ascendant is. Your ascendant is determined by your time of birth. And I should also say ascendant or your rising sign. Those two words are used interchangeably. Um, that sets the tone for this entire dial here. So for example, if my ascendant was one more degree, so let's just say, or two more degrees technically, um, because there's still 30 degrees of Capricorn, but 0 degrees of, oh, just kidding. There's not a 30 degrees of Capricorn. I don't know what I'm talking about. It goes from 29 back to 0. So if this was one more degree at 0 degrees of Aquarius, then whole sign, my first house would be Aquarius, my second house would be Pisces. And so everything all the way around just shifts up one. And so that's what's kind of cool that I've noticed in my life is that I tend to be around people who are the signs before and after my rising sign. So I tend to be around a lot of Aquariuses. I tend to be around a lot of Sagittariuses. And that's because, or I believe, I'm starting to like theorize that because our charts are similar, Placidus, we might have some of the same placements. Um, Whole sign we won't because it averages it out, but like me and you, Mackenzie, so I'm a Capricorn rising and Mackenzie is a Sagittarius rising. Sometimes when the astrology is playing out, it's playing out in the same areas of our life,
Yeah.
Placidus, because our
Yeah.
charts are kind of similar or very close to similar, if that makes sense, for how the houses are laid out. And
Yeah.
so when a transit is happening, so like, all the planets moving around the zodiac all the time, that is how we know what area of our life is being affected. So, just to use, for example, this eclipse that we're having in Pisces next week when this video airs, um, it'll be happening for me in my third house. And so I can know that this eclipse is likely tied to something that began for me in September of 2024, since that was the first eclipse in Pisces. And it's going to be something around the themes of communication, siblings, neighbors, my local community, my short-term planning, the themes that are ruled by Pisces in my chart. So that's one layer of understanding how a transit could happen, but you can also look to see if you have any points or asteroids or placements in those houses too, and that gives you a little extra context. So for Saturn here, this is something karmic that happened for me. So I'll just share with you guys September of 2024. There were several things I've linked it to. But one is that I had the idea for starting the Holistic Treehouse in September of 2024. This was a very karmic and fated time. I was also having my Saturn, or I had just started my Saturn return cycle as well. And so I won't go into what that is because that might be just go off on a tangent of what returns are, but we can talk about that another time. Um, so yeah, that adds just another layer of what I can expect from this eclipse. Does that make sense, Mackenzie?
Yes, I think it does make sense. Um, so Pisces, this is in your third house whole sign. Do you remember when it is in Placidus, and how do you decide between like this like when you're looking at how a moon is affecting you? Do you look at, I mean, I know you look at your Placidus, but do you look at both, and do you tend to resonate with both?
Yes, I do tend to resonate with both. I do look at both, depending on how big of a transit it is and how of a dive I'm doing into like
Right.
understanding that transit and how it's going to affect my chart. I do tend to look at both though, because it gives me two different layers of explanation, and both typically do resonate. Usually one more so than the other, but it's like an underlying theme that's also present typically. Um,
Okay.
yeah. And then another
Okay.
thing you can do is look at the exact degree that that transit's happening, especially if you're doing Placidus. That way you can see which house it's falling into. If, like, for example, Placidus is half my second house, half my third house in Pisces. So I would want to look at where the eclipse is happening to understand if Placidus, as a housing system, if the eclipse is falling into my second or my third house.
Okay, that makes sense. And then also, I was going to ask too, Pisces, like every zodiac sign, has a ruling planet. Do you ever look at the ruling planet and where that is, or does that not apply?
Yeah, absolutely. You can do that too. So, since the themes I said about local community, short-term planning, neighbors, siblings, those all are ruled by Pisces in my life because this is my birth chart always, right? This doesn't change. I can look to the ruler of Pisces, which is Neptune in modern astrology. I am a modern astrologer, so that's another thing is that there's ancient astrology in which they don't look at the outer planets, so Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, which have been discovered in more recent years. Um,
Mm.
but modern astrology, Pisces is ruled by Neptune, which is in my first house of identity, the body. And so there might be themes of my first house that come into this transit as well.
Okay, awesome. That makes sense. Cool.
Yes. Yeah, so that's like adding just another layer. We can continue to add more and more layers too. Like there's so many things I can do. Like look at the aspects of this planet. Let's just say that the eclipse was happening at 12 degrees. I could look at these other planets that are aspecting my Saturn and understand that they're going to be affected by this transit as well. So
Right.
that you can keep going deeper and deeper, but I'm trying to keep it as surface level as possible today. That way,
Yes.
don't give you too much. Um, yeah. Questions, Mackenzie?
I
Anything
think I'm
else?
good. I think I'm good. I just, I always feel like called to say that the zodiac signs are constellations in the sky, because I literally think people don't know that. Do you find that? Like,
I don't
Like
know
I
that
didn't.
it's been talked about much. But yeah, like that's what I meant by this was the sky above the horizon when you were
Right,
born. So yes, these were the constellations of the sky that constantly just go in this circle, all the time, right?
right, because the
And
Earth is rotating.
yes, and because the way the Earth is on an axis, some of this is above the Earth and some of this is below the Earth. So only half of the sky are we able to see at all times.
Right. Cool. Yeah. Because some people, I just feel like people look at this and like don't understand that this is literally the sky like laid out in front of you in a circle. Like that's all it is, you know?
Yep, yep, it absolutely
Cool.
is. And what's interesting about that too is that like what I was explaining in the beginning about like these are the more outward expressions and these are the things that people can see about me, right? Because it's visible. It was visible at the
Right.
time I was born. Whereas these themes of these houses are much more private and personal to me. Other people may or may not get a chance to see these things about me because it's I guess you could consider them, I would say you can consider them under the earth or of the earth, like imagining this is the horizon line of earth. This is technically me as part of earth, if that makes
Oh, I
sense.
love that. I love that like outlook on it.
Yes.
That's beautiful.
Yes.
I
Yep.
love that.
So that's the very basic teachings I wanted to do today about astrology so that when you hear me talking about this eclipses or any transit that's happening in a certain sign, I want you to go to your chart and look at that sign in your chart and see which house number is ruled by it. So you can look at the sign here. When your whole sign, it's very easy to just tell. Okay, Libra is my 10th house, Scorpio is my 11th house, Sagittarius is my 12th house. And if you don't know the symbols or the meanings of the houses, just Google it. It's that simple. Or ask ChatGPT, ChatGPT will give you a little bit more in depth, and you can always tell it to give you the answers pretending like it doesn't know you. Otherwise, sometimes it will feed you bullshit. So you got to know how to prompt it when using AI for sure. But I think that AI can be a helpful tool for learning astrology as well.
Yeah, I agree. And I forgot it downstairs and I'm so pissed that I did. But when I first I found, should I just go get it? Should I just go get it and show you real quick?
What is
Can
it?
you talk? It's a journal I wanted to show you about astrology. That's
Okay,
very
yeah,
special.
sure.
Cool. Okay, I'm gonna go get it.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, so while Mackenzie's getting that, I'll just finish up what I was saying about like, so when I'm talking about this particular transit happening in a certain sign, look at which house is ruled by that sign so that you know which area of life may be affected by that transit. And then you can also look if you have a planet or a placement in that sign and look up the meaning of that planet or placement to get a second layer of understanding. And then if you really want to go deeper, or let's just say you don't have any planets or placements in that sign, you can do what Mackenzie said, look up the ruler of that zodiac sign. So let's just say that the transit was happening in Aries. You could look at where Mars is in your chart. For me, it's in my sixth house in Gemini, and that will give you a little extra layer of information for what that transit could mean for you.
It was literally right next to me the whole time.
Oh, wow.
I checked my bookshelf and I was like, oh my God, it's in that fucking drawer upstairs. Never mind. Okay. So, when we decided to do this topic, I found this journal that is so pretty. Look at it.
Right.
and it's like gold on the outside. Okay, so hold on.
Okay, I'm gonna actually go ahead and stop sharing my screen too. Do you think we're done with the
Okay.
chart or
I have one more question.
okay, I'll leave it up then.
Okay. So I found this journal that I started right when I was learning about astrology, and that was when in 2020 when I first started like having my spiritual awakening. So I started this journal that's literally all about astrology. It literally says Mackenzie's Astrology Journal. And I wrote out like my entire chart and all the transits. I wrote out all the houses and the um planets and what they're exalted in. I wrote down the days of the week in the planetary correspondence and just like a bunch of random notes and stuff. It's like so in depth, but I stopped at like page 5 because I wrote down so much about every single thing. But I like filled every page to the brim. But I forgot I made this journal and I have so much space in it. So I'm like, I should journal about astrology again because I used to journal about it. And actually, this is good that I brought it up too because I have this question. When I was first learning about astrology, hit my mic, sorry. I wrote down like the circles, the two circles are like a birth chart, and one has a line in the middle, one has a line going down the middle vertically. Like one's horizontal, one's vertical. And I wrote down, looking at a birth chart, you're supposed to look at the planet is the what, and the sign is the how and why, and the house is where in your life. And I was going to ask you how do so you can ask yourself in your birth chart, whichever sides, like the top or the bottom or the left or right, whichever side has more planets, um, it means so like, okay, this is hard to do. So for the top section, like the lines in the middle, the top section, the bottom section, the top section is objectivity, public shown issues. So public facing. And then the south part of the chart is internal issues, subjectivity. And then if you split the line in the middle, the left and right sides, the left is freedom and free will, and the right is fates or life events planned out or not. So you can look at like the left side or the right side of your chart, and whichever has more planets or placements, you can tell if it's like you have more freedom or free will, or if it's like already been planned out for you. Have you ever heard of that?
Mm, yes, maybe not exactly in those terms, but yes, yes, I know exactly what you're saying. And what you're saying is
Okay.
very similar to what I was explaining about above the
Okay.
horizon line is what other people can see about you, and below the horizon line. I just didn't talk about the left
Yes.
and the right side of the chart. So yeah, that
Yes.
that is interesting. I don't know if I've ever heard this whole it's like freedom versus like fate. And
Yeah.
I'm looking at my chart. My four quadrants are pretty like even. I have 3 to 4 in each of the quadrants. Um,
Yeah.
but I think I do have more on my left side of my chart. So I have more free will than I do fated
Yes.
events.
Isn't that interesting to think about? Because if sometimes there's charts that are more like spread out and equal, so they have like an equal amount of like fated events and events that are already planned out versus like the free will. And I remember mine chart like was more planets and placements, not planets, more placements on the top of my circle. So I always knew that my life was going to be a little more like external and public facing and like how I'm perceived externally than like internal. And I've always felt that was so true. So, yes, what you said makes total sense. And I thought the fate and freedom thing was cool. And yeah, I just forgot I had this journal and I was like, oh my God, I have to show Megan because I've always loved this stuff.
I definitely, I just have one journal that I use for everything. And then when I fill it up, of course, I get a new journal, so that everything's in dated order. And of course, I have plenty of dates where I was just like, whether I did like a tarot reading for a specific transit or I was just
Yeah.
like writing my experience of a certain transit. I think that's really
Hmm.
helpful. And it's really cool too because we know that these transits that are happening happen in patterns. So like I was saying about the eclipse season, we can look back in our journals to September of 2024 if we didn't know off the top of our head what was happening for us at that time and get an understanding of what this new transit coming up is about for us based on how it's already played out in our life another time.
Yes. And yeah, we love doing that. We look back at our pictures as well, our photos,
Yes,
and like what we
yes.
were posting on social media too.
In your
Like what we were posting.
calendar, and yes, in your
Hmm.
social media. You can look at so many different ways, or so many different places in modern, in this modern lifestyle that we have, to understand ourselves and understand how to make the best of the transits. Like that's the whole point for me at least, is to like not be in fear when there's something challenging coming up, but to instead feel like empowered of like, okay, I know this is coming. I know it may affect this area of my life in this kind of way based on the planet that's there. And so it helps me feel like now I can respond when something happens and not be so reactive because I'll already know when it happens. Yep, here it is. Here's that transit playing out in my life.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly. Yeah. I don't know if I'll ever finish this astrology journal. If I feel inspired, I will, but yeah, it's just cool. I mean, either way, I'll use it for something, whether it's just a normal journal or what, but it did help me learn a lot to write it all down. So if that's how your brain works, you could think about starting some kind of astrology journal or even tarot journal, like something to reflect, like how you said, is a really, really good idea. Whether you stick with it or not, doesn't matter. It helped me learn in the moment, so that's all that matters. And yeah.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I feel like it helps just like journaling in general is just really good, for so many different things.
Yes.
Not just
Yes.
record keeping, but all kinds of
Yeah.
things.
Oh my God, yeah. Seeing it laid out in front of you, anything is so nice. So yeah, that was good. Thank you, Megan, for giving us a little breakdown of the basics. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to do it, and it really makes me think like, I don't know, like maybe I could do like a little intro to astrology course or class. But I also like doing this because it's helping me like get the feedback I need of the places. I'm completely self-taught in astrology. I've never I mean, I do listen to other astrologers like on a weekly basis. That's how I learned astrology, was listening to the transits that were happening, looking at my chart to see how it's going to affect me. And then that helped me understand the energies of those zodiac signs, the energies, how they play out in my chart. Just it helped me understand astrology. And I've just gone from there. So. I don't know what I don't know, right? As far as like what's important foundationally. I only know like the way I learned, which was just fully dive in.
Yeah, yeah, that's how I was with tarot, so I totally get it. And I found with teaching tarot, at least for me, like you don't know what you don't know until you start teaching it, and then the students start to ask the right questions, and you're like, oh, okay, now I know like people's minds think this way, or they normally I missed this part of it, and so there's only so much you can do to prepare your knowledge enough until you gotta learn while you do it at some point too. So I think you 100% have the experience and the skills to teach astrology in some capacity for sure. and you'd be amazing at it, as you were just now.
Yeah. And also I feel like doing it in this capacity. Like I would love for people to reach out via DM or commenting on the video if you're watching on YouTube or Spotify, somewhere where you can comment. Anything that wasn't clear because like I had already explained the whole like above the horizon, below the horizon, and we used like sometimes the way people explain things might just go over someone's head, right? And there could be a better way to explain it. So I would love to hear feedback too from the audience of what's not clear, what maybe I went too fast with, and what would be helpful for explaining deeper.
Yeah, I love it. And then I think this is a perfect time too to tell everyone that we have our tarot and astrology deep dive if you're wanting to go in deeper into your charts, into a specific area of life. If you have a specific question, our dual rating just got revamped and it's linked in the description of this episode on every platform you're listening or watching on. And yeah, we sit with you for like 45 minutes to an hour and dive deep into the tarot card spread I pull for you based on the topic of your request. And then Megan looks at your chart like she just did hers, um, and dives deep on that too. And you do astrology readings as well.
Yes, yes, I do straight up astrology, but these tarot and astrology the deep dive reading together is really powerful too because sometimes there's things in the chart like people ask me questions because it is so broad and it's overall about your life. I think tarot is such a complementary like modality to bring in the little nuanced details that I can't necessarily get from your birth chart. So it's a really cool offer and it's fun for us too because we just like one of us says something, then the other one just feeds off of it, and then the other one will say something, and the other one will have a comment of like, yeah, 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 I see that happening here in your chart, or it should be like, yeah, and that's why this card is here saying this too. And so, yeah, it's really cool.
Yep. Yeah, it's like the way we bounce off each other makes it super valuable too, because you get two readers at once in two different perspectives with our modalities. So yeah, it's really cool. So go check that out if you haven't already. And you'll hear this in the outro, but if you have any feedback or questions or anything you want to share with us, you can fill out the Divine Gossip Google form, or you can leave us a comment, like Megan said. And yeah, we will answer you personally if that's your request, or we'll answer it on the next episode. But I think that's everything. Are you complete? Do you have anything else to share?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay. Okay, cool. Well, thank you everyone for listening. We hope you enjoyed, and we will see you in the next episode of Mystical Moments.
Ooh, I felt that.
Good. I should do screen Reiki.
Oh yeah, we should totally do a Reiki one. Maybe like one of us like reads a little meditation while the other one sends Reiki for the collective, for who anybody that watches it to receive it.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah. Yeah, let's do
We're
it.
just full of those.
We are. We've got endless possibilities of where this is gonna go, so
We really Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone, and we'll see you in the next episode.
bye.
Thank you so much for tuning into today's Divine Gossip episode. I hope you enjoyed it or maybe even learned something new. If you did, it would mean the absolute world to me if you left a rating and review wherever you're listening. It helps other beautiful souls like yourself find this podcast, find me, and join the DG community. If you have any spiritual questions for me, any haunted stories you want my take on, any topic or guest suggestions, if you want to be a guest yourself, anything and everything, you can fill out the Divine Gossip Google form linked in the description of this episode so I can hear from you because you are literally a part of what I create here. Thank you, and I will see you in the next one.